Hello and welcome to another episode of the Race to Go Racing.
Spinning.
Cut off. It's off. So in this episode we're going to strip down the rest of the chassis, and this is the old chassis, and this should set us up to be able to make the GT6 chassis work. We're building the plan at the moment. We've got the chassis in here. This is the old Mark III chassis.
Yeah, we're going to strip it so we can paint it.
We're using some of these bits on the GT6 chassis, and then this can get sold on or whatever. We don't really need it. It's in pretty good nick. Lewis, what's going on then?
Step 1.
I'll come over now, Isha.
Step 1. Remove steering rack. 2. Wishbones. 3. Anti-roll bar. 4. Struts. 5. Leaf spring. 6. Diff. 7. Prop shaft. 8. Fire. 9. Buy a new car. 10. Get a light. 11. Cop for a pint. That's the plan for today. Alright, should we get the fire out?
Yes.
Alright, what are you doing, buddy?
Hey! I'm preempting 30-year-old rust and 30-year-old persistence of being where it wants to be. Little thing I like to call fire.
So as much as Cairns loves his fire, it is actually a good idea. The heat and with a bits of WD-40 actually makes the really rusty old seized bolts come out a lot easier.
Safe engineering working practices.
Works.
Until it doesn't. What's going on over there, Stephen?
Just taking the old brake pipes off before I remove the cap.
So you didn't do what I did? I just cut mine.
No,
I went lazy.
I'll try and send it.
Because we're not going to use that. So what's the point?
You never know when you need a spare.
True.
Spinning.
That's off.
So after successfully burning himself, Lewis moved to the front. So here we're taking off the suspension. Some of this we're going to be using again, like we said earlier. So the rear spring we might be able to save. We're going to be stripping the rest of it down now. We were quite surprised actually about how little bolts there were holding the spring on. What is that holding on there?
It feels like 2
6
threads.
bolts.
No, just the house. How have I done that? Half of the hammer slide.
So after finally getting the hammer unstuck, Ken's managed to get the leaf spring off. We'll be using part of the suspension of this original, but most of it's going to change. So Kens, why can't we use the suspension then?
Why? Because when you go really fast in a Spitfire, it gets scared of how much power it's got pushing out, and it thinks I'm going to slow myself down, and the best way of doing that is by just folding its wheels underneath itself. And that tends to slow it down and makes it happy. But we want to go fast. We want to go fast.
I want to go fast, think about it. So the lower wishbone will go here, and then stick out here, and then we'll still be using this spring. This will still sit over the top like this, and then underneath here you'll have a lower wishbone just to stop that hub from collapsing underneath, and then you'll have a drive shaft in the same position, followed by probably a limited slip diff depending on what we end up using, and then that runs all the way down here to the gearbox, through a prop shaft, to the engine, and then here's your double wishbone front suspension.
It would have been better if I left it connected, but yeah.
Hey!
There's not a lot of
Where's the return? Aren't they meant to return? Oh,
It's a bit shocking, eh?
The erections.
That's shocking, eh? Well, it does come back. I mean, a little.
Self-erection look.
It just needs a little bit of a. Look, it's definitely not had a little bit of that in a while, has it?
I mean,
It's coming back to it. There's life in the old bird yet.
oh, we'll use them. In that case.
I mean, I'm sure the blue pill works quicker than this one, like. See what condition these brakes are in.
Oh.
It's actually not too bad. It's still together.
That's enough about the rear suspension. Let's talk about the front, which the boys are stripping down at the moment. Steve's obviously doing something dodgy. And Lewis is just taking off the steering knuckle.
That is.
We'll be using a lot more with the front suspension, and being a double wishbone system with the shock, it will actually benefit us on track, and the GC6 is the same as well. We'll obviously be changing the shock for something a bit more sporty, a bit more racy, but apart from that, it's pretty much going to be the same.
It's off.
What we got left?
What's that?
Take this out. You can't get that bolt on, so we'll take that one out, those two out, that one at the back. Basically, all of it.
3 bolts. 3 bolts and you can take it out.
7 bolts.
3. That was a 2 there.
4.
5. 5 to take this off. And then you can strip all that down, won't you?
What piece? This whole bit's on.
Yeah. 2 there, 2 there. Right then, we've pretty much got to a point now where the full chassis is stripped. So we've got all the bits, forgive the mess, it's been a long day. So this is where all the front wishbones were, so we've stripped all them down. And we've stripped the full rear down. We won't be using this, but we might be using the spring. And then we're pretty much there. The shed is an absolute mess. So we're pretty much at a point now where we can get rid of this chassis here. We can start working on the GT6 chassis and start building that car up. At the same time, the body's going off for blasting. And then that pulls us pretty much to the full rebuild. We've obviously got to weld panels into the Spitfire body and make that all fine and dandy, but the chassis we've got is all solid, so we can basically build the car on the chassis and then at the end place the body over the top. Happy?
Yeah.
Right.
Simply refit.
Simply refit. Until next time.
I'm also Dan. Hello.
See, it's horrible.